the Peace Corps director in Sierra Leone.
All right. So now, how many years did you do Peace Corps?
5, that was the maximum you could do.
All right. So then, after Peace Corps, is that when you started doing Africa, or was there something in between?
No, after Peace Corps, I was leaving Peace Corps. C. Payne Lucas was leaving Peace Corps. A couple of other people who'd worked with me and with him were leaving Peace Corps, and we got a call from the fellow who had been the liaison between Peace Corps and the president in Niamey, and said this fellow, Bill Kirker, he started an organization called AfriCare, but as a volunteer organization, and he got volunteers, but he hadn't figured out what to do if a person got sick, if they had to be evacuated, and so it was sort of falling apart. So we got this call to see if we could help save this organization. Now, Bill Kirker was from Hawaii, and Adam, visited him up there. He was from Hawaii, and so in 1970, he had started this organization called AfriCare, incorporated in Hawaii, as a volunteer organization. Well, then, when we got word to see if we could help the organization, Kirker came in, and the 4 of us, because the president, Imani Dori, was there in Niger, 4 of us, Umaru, Lucas, Kirker, and myself, and we reconstituted AfriCare to turn it into an organization interested in trying to improve water, agriculture, health, and refugees. And so we reconstituted, restructured AfriCare, and incorporated in Washington, and that was in 1971.
All right. So in 1971, you restarted AfriCare. And tell us about your schedule. I believe every 6 months you stayed in Africa?
No,
Okay.
no. We got a grant. Well, first of all, this in the African division, African region of the State Department. There was a black lady, Golda Butcher, and she had confidence in us as a black organization. And so we had 2 goals, again, improving the quality of life in Africa, and also increasing interaction between Africans and Americans, especially Americans of African descent. Those were the two goals. So Golda Butcher gave us a grant, a $100,000 grant, because this guy, Kirker, had been the Peace Corps doctor. And so he stayed on, and I say he started this thing with the volunteers. He stayed on in this hospital, and so he was there, and so I ended up, then we didn't have any money. We kicked off in Atlanta, and Coretta King was there, and Andy Young, and what was his name, Maynard Jackson. He was the deputy mayor, and we got a letter from then Governor Jimmy Carter, and so that's where we officially launched AfriCare in Atlanta. But then we got the idea that we're having this drought, and they call the Sahel, the 6 countries of Mali and Ghana and Sierra Leone, Mali, Senegal, Upper Volta, Niger, Chad, and so we started this Sahel Drive, and we lined up people from homes, ladies and fellas, to host a little party and to raise money. And we were doing that, and we even got some money from the ladies of the night. They gave us some money.
All right, so going back to your schedule, how long would you stay in Africa per
Well,
year?
I'm coming to that. It's not a matter of it per year. Remember now, we didn't have any money. Now we raised $60,000 from the Sahel Drive. And I went with Sam Stokes. I went to deliver the $60,000 to the 6 heads of state because there was this big conference setting up a big drive for Africa, for West Africa. And Sam and I went there, and I gave to Senghor, I gave him this check for $60,000. And President Nixon, Nixon had wanted to send a representative to this conference, and they turned him down. So, but here Sam and I, Sam is white, so we are in this big conference room, and they had to walk by this room to get to the garden where they were having the closing ceremonies and so on. So when people walked by, there was Sam and I. So I gave Senghor this check for 60,000, blah, blah, and I said, "Oh, Mr. President, I have to take it back." So there was $10,000 for each country, 6 countries.
Mm-hmm.
So we lined up former volunteers who had been volunteers in those countries and paid their way to go. Didn't pay them any salary, paid their way to go. All right, so that's how we got started. Then, because of the Sahel Drive, I was on television with this black lady from New York. And what's the guy's name? He's still on television. The white guy. He's been around a long time.
Larry, no, not Larry King or somebody.
No, he's local. Anyway, he's on television now. But this black lady and I were on the television, and we were talking, and we talked. They interviewed us. And then that was that. Now, in the meantime, there'd been no money to pay me, so I got a job working with the with the Department of Education on commission, the Commission on Finance. And so I was working there, and I got this call because the Niger embassy had given us a little tiny office. And so I got this call from, we had a secretary, a fella who had been a volunteer. And he said, "Kennedy, can you come to the little office? Because I got this call from this fellow from the Lilly Endowment, and he's coming to coming to Washington, and he wants to meet with us." Because this lady had said, when we were on television, she said, yes, she told him that, yes, I was on a program with a fellow named Joe Kennedy with AfriCare. So he called, and I went to the office, and Umaru was out of the office, and so he had this big office. So John and I were in this office, and met with the guy from the Lilly Endowment, and he said, we talked, and he said, "Well, if you had $250,000, what would you do with it?" I said, "Well," I said, "there's a drought, and so on, but there was water under the ground. I would dig wells, bring that water to the surface, and you'd have water even in time of drought." He said, "I like that. Can you give me," this is like, again, on a Monday, "can you give me a proposal? And can I get it by Friday?" So I said, "Okay, I will get it to you on Wednesday." Same thing. And so I left my office at the Department of Education with John, and we drew up about an 8-page, 10-page proposal. And we got $250,000. Now, C. Payne Lucas, he was out there in deep in the hospital, because the only way he could get paid from this aid grant was that he had to be the director of the health program. So he's out there. So when he came back, I said, "Hey man, guess what? We got $250,000. But now that $250,000, we were going to go to 3 countries. 3 countries. And we met with the president of Niger, and I said, "We want to go to Niger, Upper Volta, and Mali." And he said, "No, you have to go to Chad, because that's been the hardest hit." Okay, now that is when, then I had 4 other people, all white, former Peace Corps volunteers. And so in Niger, we were there for a month. And then we went to Chad. We were in Chad for a month. And then we went to to Mauritania, to Mali, and we were there for a month. So that first time, we were there 3 months. All right, from then on, just as things expanded, to set up programs, I had to go out and talk with the people, the officials and technicians and so on, and the people, where is, where can you put in some water wells? And they would tell us various places, and then we would go to visit those places. So that was the pattern then, going through these countries and spending maybe a month developing the programs, coming back and raising money for them.
All right, so on average, how many months per year did you spend in Africa?
Oh, I don't know, probably, let's see, I was going for a month, 6 weeks. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months.
All right, so here's what I'm doing. I'm looking for a sound bite here because, I've got to edit all this. And I've got a lot of other chapters to do with you. So what I need is a sound bite. On average, I spend